today I had the opportunity to test AirDesign's new low to mid B glider, the Vivo 2. I was flying the size small, flying with the Advance Weightless on the takeoff. The glider is very easy, inflates very easily, and a very nice progressive launch. No tendency to either drop back or dive up. Very nice launch. Very good, perfect for the class. Moving on to takeoff, again the glider has a very solid and reassuring feeling about it. Nicely solid and stays nice and stable above your head. For ground handling and kiting, very good. The risers are easy to handle. Going into the air, straight after launch, I did find right away that the glider is, for a class, actually on the agile side and fun and playful, and at the same time not overtly rolly. Some gliders, when they're agile, tend to roll too much and move around or pitch too much, but yeah, nice and stable above your head, but at the same time agile and playful. Soaring around on the ridge, I felt that the performance was very good for the class, and actually the sky was really busy today. There were lots of gliders around, so I got to really compare performance quite closely. Nancy was flying on Supair's Leaf 3 Lite. It was very good to see the comparative performance between those, and we got to fly and thermal together and soar together and glide. I can say straight away that the performance seems very comparable between the two gliders. Both wings, they feel confidence inspiring and solid and well behaved, but with good performance and playful handling. I felt with the Vivo 2, I was trying to work out there was a difference in feeling between the Leaf 3 and the Vivo 2, and I felt that the Leaf 3 had a slightly sharper, slightly more direct feeling. So just in terms of where you felt on the handling, it just felt a little bit more precise. However, I'd say that the Vivo might slightly win on the playful handling side. It's slightly more agile. I think the Vivo's got a tendency more to slightly more roll and turn and cut into the turns just a bit more, whereas maybe the Leaf 3 is just little bit more sort of calm and flatter turning. In terms of soaring and the general performance, the sink rate and climb rate feels very good for the class. From a point of view of sink rate and performance did very nicely. Then getting to thermaling, very nice turning and thermaling, a great thermaling glider, very enjoyable to thermal, and a good thermaling handling and ability, plus good climb rate, so that was really good. Today there were all levels of different gliders and I could really have a good comparison. I ended up, actually there were too many gliders and sometimes too close, but from a performance comparison it was very good, and yeah, I think for the class it's really good. In terms of feeling, the glider has a very sort of confidence inspiring feeling to you and has good feedback. I felt like the feedback was perhaps a little bit on the dampened side, which is good for the class if you're flying in rough air. So for me, I prefer a glider that's more kind of talks a bit more, and I felt like it was maybe a little bit on the dampened side, but that's probably a good thing for the class. Just shows you that for the level of pilot that wants to fly this glider, if you're getting a low B glider, then you don't want something that's too talkative and sporty feeling. So yeah, so very good, well pitched for the class. Going on to the speed bar. The speed bar is very good. Actually, I ended up using the speed bar a lot. I felt that maybe the Leaf 3 might be a little bit quicker at trim. That's just from gliding with Nancy. Gliding together with her, she felt like she had a tiny little bit more trim speed. It's more that the Leaf 3 has a particularly good trim speed than the Vivo 2 is at all slow. It has good trim speed. Speed bar, the Vivo 2 I thought it was really good. Light speed bar, not heavy, a nice travel on it, a good increase of speed. For the class, certainly didn't feel slow, and really good. The glider felt really solid. In fact, I felt very happy to be gliding with the glider with the pulleys fully locked together. Almost slightly had a feeling like I'd want to push a bit more. Nicely effective for pushing upwind. Today we had to kind of push upwind and follow some lifty lines or get through sinky bits to get to the next climb. Unusually, the Vivo 2 comes with a full BC system, a BC bridge between, so that's a connecting system between the B and the C risers, and it does work really well. It's very nicely done. I quite like the way AirDesign have done the BC system on the Vivo 2. Nice little wooden handles, not too big so they catch too much, but not too small so you can't grip them. And then the pressure on the speed system is a little bit on the firmer side. I prefer something lighter, but there are certainly heavier systems, even on higher rated high B gliders. So I think it's very good. And yeah, when you're using the speed bar and then using the B risers, you can both fly the glider quite well actively, not quite as well as the brakes. You can't respond quite as quickly, but that does work really well. But from a point of view of just adjusting as you go in and out through bits of air, and just adjusting and kind of optimizing your speed to fly, it works really nicely. Very good to see when I was flying and thermaling with Martin on his Enzo 3 that the Vivo 2 was holding its own in terms of climb rate really well. It climbs nicely. I think that's a good indicator. I was also flying with another pilot who's flying a Chili 5, Marcin, and that Chili 5, if you check out our review, the Skywalk Chili 5, climbs really well. Also another pilot who was on a Maestro, Phi Maestro, and again that climbs really well. And what I could see is the Vivo 2 was climbing really nicely and climbing well. Also felt the glider was giving me good feedback and information to find where the lift was, so that was nice. Because the Vivo is really nicely pitch stable and well behaved and confidence inspiring, I felt, even though there was a bit of chop and it was quite breezy today actually, but the Vivo gave me really confidence feeling to feel like I can fiddle about and feel really happy with the glider. And part of my testing I was actually just letting it move around, and I didn't get anything more than a tip flutter in the flight that I had. Speaking of descent techniques, so big ears, with the split A's, very easy to reach, very easy to pull in. A little bit on the small side when they come in, just on the, if you just pull at the top of the risers, so I definitely recommend pulling them in. That's enough just to get you a bit of an increased descent rate, but I found I kind of wanted to reach a little bit higher and pull them in a bit more to get a better descent rate. And then with the speed bar, very nicely effective as a really good way to get yourself gliding away from a cloud or something like that. Just pop in your big ears, put on the speed bar, and that works really nicely. Doing a bit of a spiral, I didn't do a really hard spiral, but just wanted to test particularly the entry to the spiral, just to make sure it doesn't have too much of a tendency to lock in, and didn't find that at all. It has a very nicely controlled spiral, very progressive, and as normal, nothing particularly to report. Well, that's it for this mini first impressions review of the AirDesign Vivo 2. Hope you found it interesting and informative. If you've got any questions, stick them down, add a comment down below. If you've flown the Vivo 2, share your feedback. Happy to have other pilots give genuine feedback about their feelings on it, and maybe comparisons with other gliders you've tested. As always, we're testing gliders like this so we can get to know them really well, so that we can best advise our customers on which is the right and best wing and harness for them. We do that through our Flybubble Match service, which you can read about and sign up to through our website. We've got lots more reviews coming up, and also other videos with tips.